The San Francisco 49ers are 7-4, sitting in the 7th seed for the NFC. What's going to happen the rest of the season? Steph Sanchez and I will play a little bit of Fact or Fiction right after this. I'm Jason Aponte. That's Steph Sanchez. This is the Bully Ball Podcast on the Gold Standard Podcast Network, the only podcast that is not in consideration for Coach of the Year or Podcast of the Year. Steph, what's going on? How are you? It's good to see you after a week off.
Yeah, man, you slacking over here. No.
Oh yeah, I mean,
congrats on the new gigs, by the way. I know you're covering more teams now. What teams are those? Just out of curiosity.
The Vikings and the Saints. If I look like I'm tired, it's because I've been looking at film and screens and writing articles for about a week straight. It's fine though. It's completely fine. I'm fine. Who needs sleep?
I was gonna say, like, maybe hopefully you're watching a team better than the 49ers, but never mind. I mean,
it's really funny because right before we got on, we were talking about, how we were like, hey, we've got to preach patience with Trey Lance. It's not fair to judge him after 5 starts. And the Minnesota Vikings are trying to do the same exact thing that the 49ers were trying to do with a win now team, which is develop a quarterback that they drafted high in the draft while they're along. But I've got news for you. JJ McCarthy stinks, and it's 5 weeks in, and that's it. Ready to throw the towel in. I don't think he'll ever be good. And if I eat my words, I eat my words. But he is awful, and it is not fun to watch their offense.
My condolences. Condolences
hey, listen,
to you and all the Vikings fans out there.
Listen, money is money. It is what it is.
Yes.
But much like the San Francisco 49ers, who are 7-4, my fantasy team is 7-4 somehow against all odds in our dynasty league. Steph, how are we doing? How are we looking?
Well, I'm in shambles. Like my whole team is absolutely in shambles. I don't know what happened. It just felt like the floor just fell from my team. Bucky Irving went down, then Scatterboo went down, and then the only running backs I have from there are Barkley, who's having a down year, and I also have Kamara, who's having a down year. Like, it's just not looking good for me. I went from running back being the strong part of my team to, now being, what's my record now? I'm 6-5. I guess I'm not that bad, but still, it doesn't feel too good.
You know what's funny is Saquon Barkley is averaging 15.9 PPR points per game. And DeAndre Swift is averaging 15.8 PPR points per game. And people are like, man, what a great player. And people are like, man, Barkley stinks. It's because we expected 20, 25, and 30. Yeah. And I'm with you because I have Barkley in a bunch of places. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the app that we do it on, Sleeper. The NFL season is here, which means you now have a chance to win 1,000 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Pick stats like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for a 1,000 time payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you could win big. And for a limited time only, new users will get a free $20 entry. And don't forget, if you use our promo code GSP, you will get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. By the way, and this is a great way to segue into the 49ers, shout out to Michael Wilson. Oh, baby. That's what really lifted me to a victory this week. So, look, the San Francisco 49ers won this week, and depending on who you ask, people are not impressed. Depending on who you ask, people are very worried. I, myself, am very happy. I, myself, enjoyed watching this game. Now, look, Steph, the Cardinals stink. The Cardinals are banged up. That's fine. I think we can say that. But it was really nice to see Brock Purdy get out there, not really show too many ill effects of the toe, look comfortable, get himself back into a rhythm. This was a perfect soft landing for this offense that has to start rolling, and people are acting like this. Yeah, people are acting like this is some sort of problem. Me, I feel great about this. I felt great about this game. People, I think, are more concerned with the defense. But Brock Purdy's back. Ricky Pearsall's back. He had one more catch than you and I and at the same amount of yards. But I thought this was like the perfect time for Brock to come back. Soft landing, get your feet wet. Make sure that you can get the ball rolling. If there is a little rust, you can knock it off against the Arizona team that is banged up everywhere. Steph, I was fine with it. And they put up a 40 burger. Like, what's the problem?
Well, 49er fans are always going to find a problem even after a win. Like, if there's anything 49er fans are going to do. But no, I absolutely agree with you. I said the exact same thing in my post-game show. Game script-wise, it was the perfect game for Brock Purdy to come back to. And it felt complimentary, even though, I understand that they gave up 450 plus yards to Jacoby Brissett. I understand, 22 points is like whatever. A lot of that came in garbage time. That doesn't bother me too much. But they had 3 turnovers as well. You could say like Cardinals the defense was bailed out by all the Cardinals penalties and all the mistakes that they made. Sure, but the 49ers defense did get 3 turnovers, and that wasn't just from penalties. So I think we got to give some credit to that. We got to keep in mind there were so many linebackers in and out of this game as well. I mean, it seemed like a mess on defense, but they still showed us some good. I understand there were no sacks. I understand the pressure numbers are not good, but all in all, they still held this Cardinals team, down as much as they needed to in order to get this win. Now, the thing with the 49ers that needs to hold true for the rest of the season is that they just simply need to win the games that they're expected to. And this was a game they were expected to win. So I am happy with the outcome because, yeah, that's what I expected. Now, you just hope that a performance like this can propel them to maybe build off of it and maybe just maintain this momentum going into this next game, which is now looking like a really important game against another NFC opponent, the Carolina Panthers, who won a pretty exciting one, I guess you could say, going into OT and Bryce Young putting up a career game there, Tedero McMillan as well. So that's going to be a fun game for football fans. We might be a little more stressed out than we usually are, but I think that's going to be a good Monday Night Football game.
I'm not as worried about Monday. I'll be honest with you, and here's why.
Worried? I just said it'll be a little more competitive.
Maybe, but you look. If you want good news, here's this, and I see about the pass rush, and we'll get to it. The only team that creates less pressure than the San Francisco 49ers is the Carolina Panthers. And everybody's healthy. So what you watched on Sunday is the formula moving forward. Bend but don't break on defense. Give me a timely play, a timely stop here or there, and the offense rolls. That's how you're going to win these games moving forward. That's it. That's all it's going to be. You're talking about, hey, they gave up all these yards, everything, cool. Saleh was fine with just playing back, letting them catch the ball, fine, let's bleed the clock. But what the 49ers have to do is, you're going to give up yards because you can't rush the passer. You are banged up at linebacker. By the way, I think Curtis Robinson is actually going to be fine. I don't know how the 49ers continue to do this with their Mike linebackers. Curtis Robinson leads the team in tackles as soon as he comes in for Tatum Bethune. I think he's going to be fine. But the thing is, if you make a few plays, if you make one turnover, you make a good stop, you get a stop, a few stops. We're not asking you to turn into the steel curtain on defense. And I think that's the problem, is if you expect this 49ers defense to all of a sudden have this light bulb go off when they're missing Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and all these pass rushers and the youth that they have on the defensive line, I think you're evaluating this wrong. What you watched on Sunday is the pathway to victory every single week for the 49ers. It is a defense that is bend but don't break, make enough plays with turnovers, advantageous situations, especially with special teams. Shout out to Sky Moore. And by the way, George Kittle, you know special teams, dog. You should be the special teams coordinator because you called it right after the Rams game. Sky Moore is close to breaking one. Literally, first kickoff breaks it. So this is how it's going to be. Make a play on special teams, make 1 or 2 plays on defense that'll turn the football over, and then offense roll. Is it perfect? No. Is it ideal? No. But this is your formula. And this is how it's going to be moving forward. This is how you're going to win games. And this 4-game stretch is the perfect time for this offense to find their footing, continue to roll, go into the bye week, which, by the way, we thought this bye week was ill-timed and, so far down the line. It's perfect. It's perfect. You get a week off, and then you get those last 3 games, which, by the way, that last game of the season is probably going to mean something. So hold on to your hats. But everything is kind of lining up. As long as the offense continues to put up points, obviously you can't suspect that they're going to be handed 1-yard drives, like they were early on. So I feel fine. Right now, this is what this is. Your expectations need to change as the season goes on. If you expect this team to turn into the 2012 49ers defense, I have bad news for you. But that's how you've got to look at this now. You have to make 1 or 2 plays, turn the football over, at least get 1 or 2 stops. What can't happen is that Rams game. That's what can't happen. And when there's better offenses, you'll be worried. But maybe these next 3-4 games against these offenses that aren't exactly world beaters, you can figure some stuff out. So this is your formula moving forward. And I think everybody should change their expectations. The 49ers still are in a position where before they get into their bye week, they could have 10 wins. That would be optimal right there. And then you have 3 games to figure it out. The 3 games are tough. Chicago, Indianapolis, and Seattle. Those games are tough. They're going to be tough games. I don't want to hear the Chicago's had a easy schedule. I had to watch them against the Vikings. Caleb Williams is elusive. They're figuring things out. That offense is still very, very creative under Ben Johnson. But this is going to be your formula moving forward. I thought this game was a perfect encapsulation of how the 49ers are going to win moving forward, Steph.
And, I mean, it definitely needs to be the formula for the next 3 games, as mentioned. I think after that, it's going to be a little tougher sledding. But these next 3 are ones that you should still be expected to win. That's not to say that it's going to be a cakewalk. I mean, I certainly don't think that Browns game in Cleveland.
That's the one I'm scared about.
That one's scary. Like right before the bye week. So, these next 2, I don't think necessarily going to be a cakewalk. But if you stick to your brand of football on both sides of the ball, even let's say 3 sides of the ball, because you're mixing in special teams that's also been contributing to this 49ers success right now as well. I think they could get it done. They should be able to. It should be enough. But I mean, like with all this talk of, offense and defense and our expectations going forward, like I do feel like that is a good segue into our fact or fiction today. Because the first 2 go right in hand with what we're talking about here.
Right. And Will says, I just don't see the QBs we play left to be as bad as Brissett. Will, Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Like those guys are objectively worse than Jacoby Brissett. Objectively. Now, the Cleveland game you're worried about because Jim Schwartz is a menace. And Myles Garrett is the greatest pass rusher of all time, it seems like. He's got like 10 sacks in 3 games. Cam Ward stinks this year so far. Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, if the 49ers can't stop Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, we've got a really, really big problem. So yes, there's way more there's quarterbacks that are left on the schedule that are far worse than Brissett. For sure. That's why we're confident about these 4 games. The Cleveland game makes you nervous because if there's any sort of weather and Jim Schwartz, that's what gets you a little nervous. And that, I listen, before the season started, when we saw the schedule come out, I was already worried about that game off the rip. And in my mind, I thought Brock and everybody was just going to play the whole season and everything was going to be roses. Like, put all that together now. I don't like that game at all. So I don't like that Browns game at all. I didn't like it before the season started, when the schedule came out. I don't like that game. Jim Schwartz in Cleveland, could be snowy. Myles Garrett, that defense, I don't like it. But if we're talking about quarterbacks left, Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel and Cam Ward, please. The Tennessee Titans have probably the worst offensive pieces in the NFL. Calvin Ridley's not playing. Io Maynard's hurt. Chimere Dike's hurt. They're awful. They're awful. So yeah, there's way more that's worse. But Steph, let's get into it. Rob, fact or fiction? Let's do it. Let's take the heat temperature, whatever it is, heat check factor fiction. The 49ers offense will average 30 points the rest of the regular season, Steph.
Yeah, I say they do. So the 49ers had averaged 22 points per game this season before Sunday. That's largely with Mac Jones at quarterback. That's largely with, George Kittle being out most of that time. And then other pieces kind of in and out. With all offensive starters back for a full game for the first time this season, the 49ers scored 41. Now, you're not always going to be facing the Cardinals defense, but still, I do still feel like the 49ers have the firepower to keep this going. Not to say it's going to be a 40 burger every week, but it should be able to average 30 points per game rest of the season. Now, I think it also dictates, like, the defense will dictate the scoring the offense is going to have to do. And I think with the conversation we're having, we know that they're going to have to score a lot of more points. The defense this season giving up 22.9 points per game, but in the last 3 games, 29.3, which I think is more in line with what should be our expectations going forward. And by the way, that is bottom 3 in the NFL in that span, the last 3 games. So the 49ers not only need to score at least 30 points, but I also believe that they can and they will, just with everyone being back and this offense getting back to doing what they are good at.
I'm going to say fiction because they're probably going to score around 28. 29, right? Like, it's still under 30.
Come on,
nope. That's my answer. Final answer. Semantics. I have a PhD in semantics. Yeah, look, moving forward, I do think that that's kind of the magic number. If the 49ers can get to 30, you feel very good about that. With this offense, I understand that Ricky Pearsall had 1 catch for 0 yards, but what you see on film is somebody who still has gravity and people were paying attention to it, and he's still the best route runner on this team as a wide receiver. The second best is Christian McCaffrey. You need guys that can force defenses to say, hey, listen, this guy's going to beat us man to man, instead of it being, Kyle Shanahan creating that space. But they should be okay. Now, the problem is those last 3 games down the stretch, right? Indianapolis is a very good defense. Chicago's not a good defense. J.J. McCarthy made them look a lot better than they really are. There was many throws that could have been had. And if that game's in Levi's, if you give Brock Purdy in this offense those throws, it's going to be a long day for the Bears defense. And then obviously Seattle, which I hate to say it, that game is going to be for all the marbles. So either those rivalry jerseys are going to be burned everywhere, or they're going to be loved by everybody in a win or go home game. So yeah, I do think that it's around 28, 29. If you get to 30, that's the magic number. You feel good about your chances every single time that you're out there when you get to 30. So I'll say fiction because it's going to be 28, 29, but you get what I'm putting down. Rob, what's the next one? The 49ers defense will allow 30 points per game the rest of the regular season. Steph, you got it.
I say fact on this one.
Whoa!
I say fact. They held the Cardinals to 22 last week, but they've averaged 26.7 points allowed to teams with a record over 500. And
real quick, Steph. Zonovan Knight had a touchdown call back in this game too.
Yeah,
that was a big run. So
context
listen.
Matters.
I mean, I know we don't, people hate near interceptions, but like, the fact remains that was a long touchdown run. Keep going.
And that was an awful play.
It wasn't. Hey, listen,
short. Like, come on, man.
It was a bad play. It was a bad penalty, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take it any day, but yeah, the 49ers defense did not look good there. But yeah, they've averaged 26.7 points allowed to teams with the record over 500. And you got to keep in mind, like, really, that week 1 game against the Seahawks where they held them to 13 is doing some heavy lifting in that. So it'd be like 20, almost 30. It's like 29 something if you take that game out of the equation. And then also you got to, like, the defense, not only are they dealing with the loss of Bosa and Warner, but it feels like every single week, like, they got something new going on, and just like one guy in and out, like, one week to the next, right? So I feel like that's going to continue. Tatum Bethune's the latest, right? High ankle sprain. He's going to be out a few weeks. I do agree with you, Jay, that I don't think, like, the drop off from Bethune to Curtis Robinson, like, there's not really a drop off there.
Negligible.
like it's not going to be the drop off from like Warner to Bethune, right?
Right.
But even still, I think we just have to take all of that in consideration, and just the fact that they're getting so far into their depth that any more injuries could, you're taking the bottom off of this defense, and
Yep.
we're already pretty low on that. So I do expect that, yes, like I could see an average of 30 points per game being given up by this defense. They'll have some good games, but I'm just saying on average, like that's what it'll be by the end of it.
I'm gonna say no, and here's why. That Tennessee game is gonna drop the points down, right? Unless the Colts go out there and they put up a 50 burger and they bring it back up, which
Hey, Jonathan Taylor, man.
Jesus Christ, Jonathan Taylor, dude, like enough, man. We get it, man. 3 touchdowns every game, enough, man. I'm gonna say, like, with this stretch, right? The Browns are probably not gonna score more than 20, right? That offense is anemic.
Not.
Yeah, I swear to God, if you let Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders go off on you, I am going to let it fly from the tower. Tennessee's offense is trash, and those are 2 of the teams that are on the docket that are left. Carolina, I'm a little nervous about Carolina's offense because of what Dave Canales did this last game with Ted McMillan and moving him into the slot. That scares me a lot more because everybody is already picking on Upton Stout anytime that they can single him up. Against Tet, I don't like that at all, and I don't think that that's a recipe for success. But after that, the three games at the end of the season are going to determine whether this turns into 30 points per game, and that'll be Indianapolis, Chicago, and Seattle. Unless those guys go off for like 40, 45 each, I suspect that number is actually going to stay under 30 because of the games before. Remember, it's average out, right? Like, it's average out. So I'm going to say fiction. And Jason P., he had something about the penalty to McBride, Rob, if you want to put it up, because I have the perfect explanation for it. So Jason P says, what did that finger swipe under the nose penalty mean? I heard some breakdown from some West Coast podcasters, and I'm not sure they were right. They had some dirty old man explanation. Well, here it is.
It's because from the East Coast man right here.
Yeah.
And I'll have the right one.
And it's because they don't know ball, and it's because they don't know hip hop. That is banned because of YSL. The group that Young Thug is associated with, in which they go like this. And they just got off of a RICO. So the NFL decided to ban that with CeeDee Lamb doing that. No more of this because it has gang affiliations to it. See? That's why you come to me, right? Like, stop asking these old people about like why they're banning stuff like this. Listen, this is why it is. Look it up. Ask anybody. But that's exactly why it is. They don't want it. They don't want young people seeing anything that has any sort of gang-related ties. There it is. Good one, huh? All right, let's go, Rob. What's the next one? Fact or fiction? The 49ers will miss the playoffs if they lose to the Panthers on Monday. Steph, let's go.
I say fiction because not necessarily. I mean, there's so many factors to this, and I don't think we could say this with certainty right now. It doesn't help them, obviously, but it really depends what else happens in the NFC picture. And right now, there are a lot of teams vying for a spot. Like which almost makes it frustrating, just the season that the 49ers have had, because, if they were fully healthy, like they'd be at the top of the NFC right now, like pretty easily. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams in it, including the 49ers. So yeah, it really depends what happens with those teams, what their schedule looks like. I mean, I wouldn't be giving up hope necessarily if the 49ers lost on Monday.
No, I'm going to say no, and here's why. The Bears' schedule gets significantly harder, including a game that the 49ers will have against them as well, too. So you expect them to lose some games. Look, again, you can't fault the Bears for winning games because of a soft schedule. And the reason that I say that is because they've had soft schedules in years before, and they've lost those games. When you turn the corner and you're changing the culture is when you take care of business and win the games that you're supposed to win. So you can't get mad at Chicago because of the schedule and how it's come out. Shit, that's the reason that we're excited about the 49ers, is because they've got this weak schedule. So you can't have it both ways. When you say the Bears have had a soft schedule, this is why, and you're like, oh, the 49ers are about to go on a run because they have a soft schedule. The Bears are going to face a lot of better teams down the stretch, including the 49ers. That's going to be one of the teams. The Vikings, you just feel like it's going to be hard for them to get into this. The Lions are the ones that you really need to be afraid of. If Dallas could help us out, I can't believe we're saying this. If Dallas could help us out and maybe beat the Lions, that Philly game was really big, which is why the 49ers currently sit in the 7th spot. I'm gonna say fiction on this, but I won't like their chances because coming off of this would be right. The 2 weeks down the line would be the Cleveland game. So I mean, I think realistic scenario would be 3-1, but ideally love to go 4-0, and the only way to go 4-0 is to win the games and score more points than the Panthers. But I do think that they are going to beat the Panthers. I do think the Panthers, while improved, have beaten some teams that you're just kind of like, because I don't even know if Green Bay is good. Let's just put it out there, because when people point to that game and they're like, well, they beat the Packers. Are the Packers good? Have we figured this out yet? Are they good? Because I don't think they are. I was getting ready to tell
they're pretenders. They look pretenders.
Oh yeah. And what's funny is after 1 week they were like, Packers Super Bowl, no, they're not. No, they're not. No, they are not. That is the team right there that looks like they'll end up with a very good record and be one and done. And that is exactly what that team is. So yeah, like, just because the Panthers beat the Packers, don't hold that up as some sort of oh my God moment, like they're world beaters. Like, are the Packers good? No, they're not. So that's all I had to say. I mean, they were one Jameis pick away from losing. And then I would have said leave Matt LaFleur in Jersey. But Rob, what's the next one? Fact or fiction? Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson will split carries going forward. Steph.
Fiction.
Fiction.
I don't even think we could call it a split. Like, when I hear split,
it's
I'm thinking
closer.
close to 50-50. I think Brian Robinson will continue to be like worked in situationally, with those situations being few and far between, when McCaffrey needs a breather, matchup based, down and distance based, red zone based. And even then, it won't be every single time. So if Sunday was any indication, the 49ers were up 3 scores and McCaffrey was still in with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They still had to take him out. Robinson is not in any split with McCaffrey. This is not a 1A, 1B situation. He is the RB2. That is it. That's all he's going to be for the rest of this season, which is okay. Like, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with certain situations where he gets in there. And I feel like if the 49ers feel like he's having a really effective day and he's being productive, like, they'll give him more carries. But, Sunday didn't feel like one of those games necessarily. So I think that's why they didn't, use him as much as maybe the previous 2. But yeah, I think it's going to be a week-to-week thing. Nowhere near close to a split, like a 50-50 split.
Yeah, this is 100% fiction. The only thing that would make this better, the fact that Christian McCaffrey still is leading the team in, carries, is if Jordan Mason was behind him and not getting on the field, because everybody was crying about that. By the way, now that I cover the Vikings, he doesn't play there either.
No.
So enough with the Jordan Mason stuff.
They were done with him after he had to start a few games.
That's what's hilarious about it, is he had an audition while Aaron Jones was out. And Aaron Jones is 30, which might as well be 70 as a running back. Aaron Jones came back, and they were just like, all right, back to the bench, dude. Like, we're back to Aaron Jones. We've seen enough. Keep crying about Jordan Mason, man. I told you, he was completely replaceable. But yeah, that's absolutely fiction. What's the next topic, Rob? Fact or fiction? George Kittle will catch at least 10 touchdowns this season. It's 4 in his last 4. Now, he had 0 against the Giants, but he had 2 this week. Yeah. How many games do we have left? We're 7-4. We've got 6 left. So he's got 5. So he's got to have 5 in 6. What do you think, Steph?
So he's only had 10 or more touchdowns in a season once, and that was 2022. He had 11. I think the 6 games he missed this season will ultimately be the reason he doesn't get 10. Because looking at it, he probably easily get over 10 this season, just with the involvement that he's getting so far. And I'd obviously love it if he did. And I will say, if he does stay as involved as he's been the last 2 weeks, it should be money. In the last 2 weeks, 17 targets, 17 catches, 151 yards, 3 touchdowns. So, if he kept that up, yes. But I do think, we will see some games where he doesn't get a touchdown. And I think we'll see games where, Ricky Pearsall will get more involved once he plays his rust off. So... yeah, I don't think he'll do it. I would love it if he did, but I'm going to say this is fiction.
I'm going to say this is fact. Here's why.
Speaking into existence.
Well, here's why. If the 49ers are going to have to put up 27 and 30 points a game.
This is true.
Who's going to get them the touchdowns? I mean, is it going to be all Christian McCaffrey? I mean, it might.
It might be.
But it's fact. I think this is fact. If you're asking this offense to put up 27-30 a game, do the math. It's got to be someone. It's going to be George Kittle, I think. And for him to finish the season with 10, missing all those games,
that'd be
will only reaffirm the fact that the San Francisco 49ers still have the best tight end in the world. And Trey McBride's been very, very good this season. I say that as a pleased fantasy manager. But yes, 10 touchdowns is absolutely on the table because we're expecting all these points down the stretch. So unless Christian McCaffrey scores 300 touchdowns the rest of the way, it's got to go to somebody. And him and Brock have a great rapport. I'm going to say yes. I am going to say yes.
Yeah, I did like that you brought up the points per game thing as, just that context. I looked back at like 2022, which is when he had the 11 touchdowns, and the 49ers were 6th in points per game, 25.9. In 2023, they averaged 28.6, and he didn't have 10. I forgot how many he had that season, but it wasn't over 10, and they were 2nd in scoring that season. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I like it. And you know what else I like about this, Steph? We've only agreed on the Christian McCaffrey one. Like,
I mean, we disagree.
I think everybody likes it too because it's respectful and it's two different like who wants to watch an agree pod, right? Like, I agree, everything's great, you're absolutely right, I'm absolutely right. Get out of here. We need some disagreement here respectfully between very good friends. Rob, what's the next one? Fact or fiction? Myles Garrett will finish the year with more sacks than the entire. All right, fact. I'm going to start this one. It's fact because he's going to have more in that game against the 49ers than they had all season. Listen to me.
Whoa,
look,
man.
Rage bait used to be believable, right, on Twitter. And today, I don't know if you guys, woke up and Twitter was down. That's because Twitter switched over to Cloudflare as their server. And Cloudflare services Twitter and PFF and all of these. So all of these sites were down. So when you want to complain and you're like, Elon's messing it up, it's actually the server that they switched it over to. But when my Twitter timeline actually worked, I saw someone that said, Myles Garrett is finally playing better than TJ Watt this season. He's never been better than TJ Watt in any year. And I was this close to quote tweeting it and saying, please get a job and stop talking about football. Myles Garrett is, you know what? Fuck it. Hit the button, Rob. Myles Garrett is the greatest pass rusher I've ever seen, dude. I don't know what to say. I've watched Reggie White. I'm old enough. Yes, look me in the eyes. I've watched Reggie White. I've watched a lot of Edge. But my God, what is it that Myles Garrett doesn't do? He blocks kicks. He tackles. He tackles the quarterback. He runs stuffs. He can dunk a basketball. The guy is a freak. And if you really, really want to get sad, if you remember Chip Kelly's one and only year, the San Francisco 49ers won a game against the Los Angeles Rams with Colin Kaepernick, and that cost them the number 1 pick, which would have been Myles Garrett. If you just want to get sad all over.
Not today, man.
It's all right. Look, but yes, this is absolutely fact. Steph, what do you think?
It's fact. Yeah. I mean, he has 15 on the season, 4 multi-sack games this season, including one just this past weekend where he had 4 against the Ravens. He had 5 a few weeks ago. So, I mean, this is kind of easy money as well. If there were any bets about this, the 49ers have, what would you say, Rob? They have 12 sacks this year. And Nick Bosa is still tied for second most. Still tied for second most on this team with just 2 sacks. So the 49ers have had 3 multi-sack games this season, week 2, week 7, week 9. They would have to have, I think, like the rest of the way would have to be multi-sack games, like just to, get over on Myles Garrett, because he's probably going to have more multi-sack games to finish this season as well. he's just that good of a player, and the 49ers are just that bad, when it comes to pass rush right now. So we'll see.
Man, listen, the Browns stink, but that man is trying. I just don't know why he lied to everybody and said that it's about winning when he took the bag and stayed with the Browns. Like, don't lie. Like, like I don't look at you as less of a pass rusher because you took the bag. You're still the best. You know what I'm saying? But don't lie to us, and don't lie to my face, like, at all. Like, come on, man. When you say winning and Cleveland, come on, man. Like, you're just lying. Like, what are you doing? Rob, let's go to the next one and save that super chat for sure. We'll get to it. The 49ers should trade Mac Jones this offseason. Steph, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Okay. Okay, so this one is I'm in support of anything like the 49ers decide to do on this one, because I think, keeping Mac Jones does make sense given the injury bug that follows them. And, as of late, feels like Brock Purdy has been hit with the injury bug quite a bit as well. But I'm going to say fact, because if you could get at least a second, like, I think you have to do it. And we say the draft is a crapshoot, but also we know that the value of a second round pick is probably more than a backup quarterback, like, especially when you're in a retooling of your roster and trying to build a new foundation. I just think it's more important.
But is he a starter though? He's just a backup here.
But that's what I mean. Like, if he's a starter on another team, then the team is going to give up at least a second for him, and you got to take that. You got to take that. And I think the 49ers have kind of figured out what they're looking for in backup quarterbacks, and in this now being like a rehabilitation center for lost quarterbacks, and it's worked out for them. So I feel like if there's someone out there, that's also the other caveat, right? Not only does what you're getting back have to make sense, and the value of what you're getting back has to be more than the value of what he's bringing to your team as a backup quarterback, but also, I mean, I think you have to have a backup plan for who your next backup is going to be, if it's not Mac Jones. But yeah, I would do it.
Okay. So no one's giving up a first for Mac Jones. I don't think you're getting a second. You might not even get a third, right? And 49ers fans, this is going to be hilarious. And Kyle Shanahan has a chance to do the funniest thing in the world, which is trade Mac Jones and then sign either Justin Fields or Zach Wilson and fix them, right?
Hilarious.
But if you do get a second or a third, I do think you make the move, and here's why. The next quarterback that is set to receive the Kyle Shanahan stimulus package is already in the building, and I'm not talking about Adrian Martinez. It's Curtis Rourke. He is the perfect Kyle Shanahan quarterback. I called that draft pick right before the draft, and it happened, okay? Look, you look at the way that Brock has unfortunately been injured. It's nice to have somebody who can operate the offense the way that Mac does. But if you're looking to, you have to restock the cupboard. If you can get yourself a third, you take it, and because you need to address linebacker, you need to address secondary, you need to address safety, you need to address pass rush, you need to address offensive line. Like, what doesn't this team need to address? But your backup plan is in the building already. It's in the building.
I like that.
It's Curtis Rourke. I
forgot about him. Like that. That's actually a great point, and almost makes the point even further that they should feel comfortable trading Mac Jones this offseason. I just feel like it's an easy decision.
Now, the question becomes, who's the team that would, dish out something for Mac? I mean, of course, who cares? I mean, of course it cares. Well, listen, look, Kyler Murray is such a jet that Kyler Murray's such a jet. That's done. Kyler's a jet, so they're out. But it does feel like Curtis Rourke is the next guy, right? Like, a lot of people didn't know much about Brock Purdy, right? Last pick in the draft, like, people who watched Iowa State knew. I watched Curtis Rourke. My father went to Indiana. I watched him. And when I was watching him, and I put out a tweet just being funny, where I was like, try and stop Kyle from drafting Curtis Rourke. Bang. and that was months before the draft. Curtis Rourke's the next guy to get the Kyle Shanahan stimulus package. And If you want to, and you don't feel comfortable with Curtis Rourke, then do the funniest thing possible. Sign Zach Wilson, fix him. Sign Justin Fields, fix him. Make them the next guys. Because then the only person that he wouldn't have been able to get anything out of is Trey Lance. Right? Because you got it out of Mac, right? You got it out of Mac. But it's just, for me, I do think that if you're able to get a second or a third, which I don't think you can, I think we're massively overvaluing him right now. When it gets to that fourth or fifth, then maybe you hesitate a little bit because Mac is a very good backup quarterback. I think that he's elevated himself to a starter. But I do think Curtis Rourke is fine, man, and I do think that that's the plan. Like, that's been the plan all along. Like, that they're ready to roll with him, and he's a big guy. He processes the game the way that Kyle wants. He sees the game that Kyle wants him to see it. I would be okay with it because I do think they do have plans for Curtis Rourke.
And Rob says Sam Darnold went for a second and a sixth after his Jets tenure. I understand what you're saying, that maybe we're overvaluing him, but teams give up a lot for quarterbacks because it's just such a premium position. And who else really is going to be available that's a viable option to be a starter for your team if not Mac Jones? Like, who else as a free agent? There really isn't anyone else. I mean, you mentioned Justin Fields and Zach Wilson. I don't want those guys, you know?
No, I'm just saying it would be a great bit. Like, if he ends up with another quarterback from that draft.
Well, yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but I just mean like from the cost standpoint, I think a team would be willing to give up a second. The question is, do the 49ers, like, would they be willing to take that? Because the 49ers also overvalue their guys even further. But I would do it if I were them.
Yeah. All right, good talk, man. Curtis Rourke, by the way, Maple Missile. Stop playing with him.
Maple Missile is crazy.
A Canadian, Indiana Hoosier, man. He's got it all, man. Rob, what's the next one? Fact or fiction? Robert Saleh will be the 49ers defensive coordinator in 2026.
Fact, because I believe in manifestation, and
I love that.
We need him for 2026 when we're full squad on defense, man.
Yeah, and you have to start to think about what jobs are going to be available, right? Look, I think Robert Saleh's end game, and many everybody as a coach, basically, their end game is to really be, I want to be a head coach. Arizona, possibly, because I think they have defensive pieces for sure. Just who's going to be their quarterback? Who else is going to, have a chance? Cleveland, they're going to be firing anybody. I don't think anybody wants to go there. The jobs are not necessarily appealing. The Giants, I think that's
a good one.
The Giants are but does he want to go back to MetLife and deal with that media that was already, unfairly judging him while he was with the Jets? But I think, and that's what's crazy to me, is I think the Giants is the most appealing job for anybody moving forward, based on the defensive pieces that they have. They have a quarterback, they have young guys, right? Like, that is the most appealing job. However, I do think that if they really want that team to move forward and they want to develop, they need to get an offensive guy in there. Now, having said that, I do think,
totally.
Yeah. No. Listen, you talk about manifestation. I'm talking about, yeah. Now, what's funny is the guy that I think that they should hire, and I even after saying all that stuff about, offense, is Jesse Minter from the Chargers. But you bring over an offensive coordinator that can get his hands on, Jackson Dart-Paws and make sure that he can, push him forward. But, the Giants have too many defensive pieces to not have a defensive guy. But I just think that they'd look at a fresher, hotter name than Robert Saleh. So I think they definitely would like to go defensive-minded because you got to whip Abdul Carter into shape. You have Brian Burns, who still leads the league in sacks at this moment. You have pieces. Kayvon Thibodeau's still there. You have pieces. The problem with the Giants' defense isn't talent. It's a shit scheme. So I do think that is a very appealing job for the Giants. I am going to say it's going to be a defensive guy, but I'm not going to say it's going to be Robert Saleh. I'm going to say fact because I believe in manifestation. I believe in affirmations. When I wake up in the morning, I look at myself in the mirror and I say, you are enough. You deserve love. You are somebody. And this is the type of stuff that you say into the mirror and you hope that it comes out. Not Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. It's all of the things that you want to say and that you want back from the universe. What you give out to the universe is what you give back. There is your spiritual talk from Steph and I. Rob, do we have any more? Okay, if Week 18 matters for the 49ers, they will miss the playoffs. Fact or fiction? You're going first.
Oh, come on. I knew you were going to do that.
You're going first. I'm taking the easy way out. You're up first.
Don't hate me, guys. I'm going to say fact. Just because, like, the injuries to the defense, I think will make it very hard for the 49ers to stave off the Seahawks offense and have a performance that you had in week one. Like, I was already saying, if you go back to the week one episodes and on my own podcast, I was saying, like, Seahawks week one is a blessing.
It is a blessing.
Because they were still figuring some things out.
Yep.
They had who's their safety? Nick Emanwari.
Now they're using him the right way.
Now they know how to, exactly. So like they were still getting things together. Now it's really clicking. And we saw it even just a few weeks after that week one game that it was starting to click. And we're like, oh, thank God we already played them once.
You saw it last week against the Rams. I mean, Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions and they were right in that game with the Rams still.
That's what's so odd. Like everyone was making fun of the Seahawks and Sam Darnold for having 4 interceptions, but why was the game still so close? You know what I mean?
Defense is really good.
That's what we need to be focusing on right there. So yes, I think it would be a little too much for the 49ers to get over on the Seahawks in that game. Like I'd have to see vast improvements from the current crop of defensive players that are playing right now for the 49ers that are still healthy to believe that they could do it. Otherwise, yeah, I'm gonna go fact. I'm sorry.
All right. Can we add this caveat? And I'm gonna give it to you first too. Like I'm gonna add this caveat. What if week 18 isn't a winner go home game, but it still matters because it's seeding? So like Rob, and put it on the screen. Rob, do you mean if week 18 is a win or go home game? Or if it because it can matter and not be a win or go home game. So I want to make sure that yes, okay, win or in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In that scenario, that makes me very nervous.
Dre Greenlaw walking through that door.
Don't care.
Yeah,
no, of course. Okay. In that scenario, I don't like it. But that's not going to be the case going into week 18. And I'm going to lay it out for you. The 49ers at worst are going to be 3-1 through this stretch. If they go 4-0, it's done. 11 wins is in. So let's even say you get on the other side of the bye week and you lose to Indianapolis and then you lose to Seattle, you still have 11 wins. So don't let the 49ers get into this bye week with 10 wins, right? And then you just need one more out of 3. And you just hope it's not that last one. So I'm going to say fiction because I don't think that game is going to happen and it's going to be that way. I think the 49ers are going to have 11 wins already right there. So I think...
That's not what the question was, though.
Listen to me. It's not going to happen. Listen, it's a hypothetical. It's fine. Whatever. I'm taking the easy way out. That's not what's going to happen, though.
Man. Okay, so... I do agree that it's not going to happen. That wasn't the question, but to just go over the Seahawks schedule as well, because I think similar situation, like they already have a better record than the 49ers, and I think they're going to be able to win their next few games as well. Their next few games, or the remaining games, at Tennessee, at home against Minnesota, at the Falcons. Then they have the Colts, Rams. Those could be toss-ups. And then at Carolina and then at San Francisco. So, I mean, you noted the wins right there. Like, I feel like that's enough for that Week 18 game to not mean anything for them either. So,
well, and another thing, the 49ers have the most conference wins. So they've already got tiebreakers out of the way, right, with certain people.
Yeah.
So Carolina could be an NFC win. That's another one. You know, after that is, if I'm not mistaken, is Tennessee. That's AFC. Cleveland, AFC. Indianapolis, AFC. Chicago, NFC. Again, conference wins. You'll have a very good chance at a tiebreaker. That's why I think this game is not going to happen. So, yeah, I take the easy way out, but I'm laying out the path that is very, very logical and has a chance to happen. So, it'll matter. It'll matter.
Okay.
It'll matter. Okay.
Last fact or fiction. Will the Week 18 game mean something?
It'll mean something. It just won't mean everything.
No, I mean, like, will they be fighting for anything?
They'll be fighting for seeding. I mean, either way, where the 49ers land is going to be a road game regardless. I do think the San Francisco 49ers want nothing more than to find a way to have their first game be against the Rams at SoFi. I think there's something. Yeah, listen to me.
They're sickos.
Well, that's exactly the type of game that you want to be in because nobody's going to pick you to win. And it'll be the third time. And, the offense will be healthy-ish, hopefully, by then. I do think that they're dying to get that third game. Like, don't get it twisted. The 49ers saw all that crap that the Rams were popping. They have so much of this after they finally win a game. Kyron Williams was crying after the first game. At this game, they're making fun of the boombox. Yeah, y'all, we're in here. We're in your mind, bruh. We're in your mind. And I know the 49ers saw that and want to get their get back. So, low key, I do think
I can see it.
If the Rams want to hold on to that 2 seed, all the 49ers have to do is get that 7 seed and let's run it back. Let's have the rubber match if we're doing baseball, right? 2 out of 3. Let's see who finishes it. So, Rob, do we have any more fact or fiction?
He said he had a couple more.
Aha!
Woo!
Fact or fiction. Kicker.
You go first.
Well, you know what? You know what, Rob? Just hit the button.
Had it ready.
Kicker update.
So just when our problems were solved, just when things were great,
we had a kicker.
And it would have been an Eddie Pinheiro revenge game.
Oh, dude.
Yes. So the vibes. Now, I want to say something, and he's still on my channel going to be the guy who shall not be named. 49er fans, you're a bunch of sickos. Let's sign that guy off of Chicago's practice squad. That's hilarious. That's funny to you? You think that's funny? Well, you know what's even more funny? Washington signed that guy. And he has to go to be teammates with Deebo Samuel. Fact or fiction, Deebo Samuel will strangle Jake Moody before the end of the year. This is a fact. This is absolute fact. There's a lot of frustration. With the Washington Commanders. By the way, Adam Peters is a fraud, but we'll talk about that another day. But I stand on that, okay? But yes, is a kicker going to cost them? No, I don't think it is. Now, the 49ers did work out 3 kickers. The problem is this. I don't like specialists, but I know way too much about specialists. Because
all against your will.
All against my will, right? Like I'm just it's like a Clockwork Orange with the toothpicks and like I'm looking, right? So automatically my mind goes to Greg Joseph. But what I found out is that Greg Joseph is actually on the Raiders practice squad. And if you sign someone off a practice squad, you have to cut someone. And I don't think that the 49ers will be able to do that. So Greg Joseph was the first logical choice in my mind because he was the guy that was already kicking better than Moody before he got here. Damn it, I said his name. It's like Voldemort. Now, the 3 that are here, the one that I feel safest with is Anders Carlson because he was here last year and he didn't miss any kicks. Keep John Parker Romo far away from my team. And here's what I know about him. He sent away Young Hui Koo from Atlanta, replaced him, then got replaced because he can't make kicks. No.
Don't you love when that happens?
Yeah. No. Anders Carlson is your answer. Tanner Brown, get out of here. Anders Carlson is your answer. But keep John Parker Romo far away from my team. And you can put the super chat on the screen as well too, Rob. But Steph, a kicker will cost the 49ers another game in Cleveland.
False. Also, or fiction. Also because I believe in manifestation, and we just can't can't have that again for like my own mental health. But I mean, I think the only reason that it cost us last time was because of thou who shall not be named, right?
And he looked like he was gonna cry after the game. Fuck up.
And I think we think that some of these guys who can be signed off the street are better than that guy, which is why it was silly for people to think that the 49ers would have just wanted to sign him back. Like, why would you sign him back? There was a reason you cut him in the first place and got a guy off the street. And that guy off the street ended up being way better than him. So why wouldn't you just do that again instead of, just the mental stress of having him back on the roster? So yeah, I'm going to say fiction.
Yeah.
Kicker unemployed.
Well, he's Washington's kicker now because they cut Matt Gay. And it's funny because Washington cut Matt Gay and everyone was like, I'll take Matt Gay. Why would you want to take somebody who can't make kicks? Like, what are we doing, guys? Like, what are we doing? And you know what's hilarious is Joey Sly is the Tennessee kicker. McLaughlin is the kicker for Tampa Bay, and he's the guy, if you guys remember, in 2019 that butchered that game-winning kick against Seattle. Just get Anders Carlson. He's familiar. He's in the building. It's fine. And I've got another big brain idea. Again, sometimes I think it's outside of the box. Sometimes, my mind goes places that it shouldn't. How about don't kick any field goals? Let's score touchdowns. Cam's dad, I expect Eddie P to kick Monday night. Lefty? Like, is he just going to go out there?
Is he ambidextrous? Like, is that a thing for kickers?
Look, I will say this. The vibes on Eddie Pinheiro are off the chain. And here's why. So before the half, he has the block kick, and Calais Campbell blocked it. And obviously they called it back, and he kicks again. He makes the kick. And he's yelling at 6'7" Calais Campbell.
That's why he yelled at him.
Yes, who would pick him up and snap him in half. That man is... the vibes on this man are... look at him! The kicker's talking trash to Calais Campbell!
I love him so much.
Man, just when I thought that I was
in his
not...
face, bro.
Yeah, he's screaming. Calais Campbell. If you ran into him in a back alley, call the ambulance, Eddie Pinheiro, please. But man, I love this guy. I love his vibe. He's screaming at the sideline. He's in the locker room going nuts. Man, of all the things that have happened this season that have been negative, right now, one of the really, really big bright spots is Eddie Pinheiro, man. And you found him off the street.
I'm just saying, if Eddie was the kicker last season, I think him and Debo would have had a handshake. Like, that's it. They would have had their own handshake. They would have been homies, like, the whole thing.
A handshake, man. They would have had dances, like, you know how Kendrick Bourne and Ricky Pearsall, like, they would have had a dance, everything, man. It's so funny how a guy like that, he just has aura, right? He just has
aura.
Which
is crazy. Like,
that's crazy for a kicker to have aura, right? Like he's like that guy from The Replacements. Remember the guy, the Scottish guy or whatever, or the Australian, and he's doing the dances after the kicks and everything. Like, it's so fun to watch him kick, and I think that's what makes me more sad, besides the fact that he makes all his kicks. I mean, I think the extra point thing is because it's too easy. He just needs to kick it out from further. Like, he's just like, man, I don't want to do this. Like, but yeah. Shout out to Eddie Pinheiro, man. Hopefully you get back soon. But yeah, sign Anders Carlson. Keep Parker Romo away. Please do not sign him. Please. Hope I'm wrong. I can't believe we know that much about kicker stuff. You
do. I didn't know half the shit you were talking about just now.
There he is, Nigel Gruff. He's ripping a dart right there, and The Replacements is such a dope movie too, man. It's so good. Well, I guess that'll do it for this episode of Bully Ball on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. Shout out to everybody that's in here. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Gold Standard Podcast Network, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Make sure you follow Steph on Twitter at Steph49K. Follow me on Twitter at JasonAponte2103. Steph and I have YouTube channels too. If, might want to hit that subscribe button, notifications, all that. Run that hype up on the videos for us because, you know, we both do some good work over there as well, too. Steph, the San Francisco 49ers are 7-4. Like I said, going into the bye, they are going to be 10-4. And that Week 18 game is going to mean something, but not everything. So you believe in manifestation?
I sure do.
You.
This is the manifestation episode.
You're welcome, 49ers fans. For Steph, for Jay, we're out here.
Peace.